You don't need a lot of land to start living a slower homesteading lifestyle. And I think we can actually make our backyards more fun and entertaining than any screen. You just need a pot, a patio, and about 30 minutes. This is one of the most fun and easiest entry points into this lifestyle. And if you have kids, they will love it. Growing blueberries in a container on your deck or patio works so well, and I will explain why. So you don't need land, you don't need a farm, you don't need to quit your job and move into a more rural area. This is a great entry point, and your kids are going to be really excited to come outside every day and look and hunt for blueberries. Now, the first thing about growing blueberries in containers is you do need to pick the right variety to grow in containers. I think it's actually easier to grow in containers because it's easier to control the soil, and we'll talk about why the soil for blueberries is so important. It's not hard, but pots make it super easy. So there are certain varieties that are better for container gardenings, and they really should say on the label. We got ours at a local nursery by Berry and Bushel. That's the name brand, kind of like proven winners. And we got the peach sorbet, which I think is really pretty as well. It kind of has this lighter peachy color on the new leaves. And we actually landscape with some blueberry bushes in our front landscaping as well, which is really fun because as the kids leave for school in the morning, we call daycare school, they'll actually see blueberries and they'll pick it on the way out the door or vice versa on the way home. So that's just another kind of fun element that you can try. And they look really nice in landscaping. Yet I don't see many people doing that. But I digress. Now, I did create a whole little free guide on growing blueberries in containers linked down below, and it does have a couple different varieties in there that are good to plant. So you can actually look for those specifically, or even easier, buy them online. Yes, we like to go to the local nursery and look around and we'll pick things up like we did for these, but we have had really, really good success in buying plants online from online nurseries. And a lot of times we can get them smaller, so they actually are cheaper. And the one thing about growing smaller plants is they really catch up fast. So I wouldn't shy away from these smaller little plants on some of the online nurseries if you're on a budget, because with the amount of plants that we've planted in the past couple of years, we've definitely done that to save our budget. All right, so let's get into why containers are really good for blueberries and what's actually needed with the soil, like I mentioned. So blueberries need acidic soil. Some plants need a more acidic soil in order to be able to actually pull nutrients up from the ground and into their roots. And the more I've learned about this, the more I realized the different plants that actually do need that. There's actually certain oak tree varieties that don't do well in more alkaline or basic soil and need that acidic soil in order to pull up nutrients. And blueberries are that way. There's something about how nutrients bind to the soil that alkaline soil doesn't let them pull those up. And you can actually see it in your plants. There's a disease called chlorosis. I hope I'm saying that right. But you can see it. You can see it on the leaves. They start to turn yellow. And we've planted several blueberry bushes down in our garden right into the ground. And we did not do the right things. We did not add acidifier to the soil. We did not try to change the soil acidity before we planted, nor after. And so that was a hard lesson because our blueberries did not thrive. A lot of times when you get plants, they already have little blueberries on them. But after that first year, they did not thrive. They did not produce berries. And in fact, they didn't have that many leaves either. This year, we did add acidifier because we're trying to help those plants come back, because plants are resilient. That is one thing I've learned with gardening, is that they are more resilient than we think. And if they're not dead, they can come back. So now that I know what I'm looking for, I can actually see it on the leaves, because the leaves are turning yellowish, and that can be a sign of chlorosis. So if your blueberries that you've planted in the ground are not doing well, they're not producing good berries, maybe they have less leaves on them, the leaves turning yellowish, you need to check the soil. Now, there are easy ways to check the soil. You can just get a little pH kit and do a little test. Or you can get a pH meter and just stick it in the ground and see where the pH rates. We've done both, and I will link both products that we use down below. All right, so getting these plants set up well in a container. You can actually buy acidic potting soil. So that's one of the easiest ways to get started. I think a lot of azalea mixes are actually acidic soil. Now, we just picked stuff up from our local nursery, and our local nursery did not have like azalea or acidic potting mix. It is easy to actually make potting soil acidic with the right supplies. So we just got a bag of Coast of Maine potting soil. It's a really good company. The soil was really good, high quality, good loose potting soil mix. All you have to do to turn regular potting soil more acidic is mix in acidifier. A lot of times the bags will have like blue hydrangeas on them because you can turn the color of hydrangeas different colors based on the acidity of soil. So some will specifically show hydrangeas and blueberries, but you are looking for acidifier. I'll also link all of these products below to help get you started. So you can mix that in. You do need to follow the directions of the bags. I can't tell you what to do because based on the product that you do choose, it is going to be different. The other thing we mixed in was berry tone. Berry tone has fertilizer in it to help provide nutrients to the soil, but it also does have a little bit of acidifier as well. So when you're looking at that, what we did, we just reduced the acidifier amount that we were putting in, the supplemental acidifier, just a little bit so that the berry tone acidifier kind of took it the rest of the way. So we put in some soil, we mixed in a little bit of the acidifier, we put in some more soil, we mixed in a little bit more acidifier, and then we put in the plant, put in the soil around the top, mixed in a little bit of berry tone and acidifier up at the top level, and kind of mix that all in around the plant. And it really is that simple to get started. Now, one thing to know with growing in pots, same thing growing in raised beds that you see behind me, they can dry out faster. So you do need to be a little bit more cognizant and more regular with watering. Now, I find that that's actually really easy since they are right on my patio and deck. So as I go out in the evening and my kids are playing with chalk or splashing in the kiddie pool, I just give it a quick water. And honestly, it's kind of a nice relaxing activity for me to do while my kids are playing outside. There is an easy test. You just stick your finger down in about an inch or up to your first joint and see if the soil feels moist or wet. If it does, then you're good. You don't need to water. This one is starting to get a little dry, so we're probably gonna water it again today, especially with this heat wave going on. So I'm actually out here at like 6 a.m. before my kids wake up because it's gonna get way too hot to film this later today during their nap time. So let's see if I can get through this before they wake up. But that's it. Then you just need time to wait for the berries to turn blue. We've had our toddlers picking these off and eating them. Now the only problem that you will have is if you have young toddlers like I do, they want to pick even the green ones. So that's our new problem, is trying to prevent them from picking the green ones and let them ripen and only pick the blue ones. So they're learning that lesson. Oh, so good. So we did this early in the spring, and by mid-June, our toddlers have been coming out and picking berries. Now we've also planted some raspberry bushes, and that'll be a separate video. But between the raspberry bushes and the blueberry bushes, our toddlers have a great time going and picking berries. And of course, toddlers love berries. You know how many berries we go through. So we're not supplying all of our berries yet, for sure, not with toddlers around, but we have definitely supplemented our regular berry purchases at the grocery store with homegrown organic blueberries and raspberries. I don't know if we're actually saving money though, because there is a whole setup cost going, but long term, I do expect to be saving money, especially if you buy organic berries. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But more important to me is that, one, the kids enjoy being outside. I want to raise outdoor kids. I want to raise them away from a lot of screen use. We even put our kids in a nature-based daycare program, so they're outside a lot. and creating a backyard that is fun and entertaining and has things like fresh blueberries and raspberries, strawberries, all of the good stuff. They're all part of my plan to combat screen use. As someone who is way too addicted to my phone, working on it myself so I can be a better example, but I want them to have a reason to be outside in our backyard. So growing fruit is just one of the ways that I'm planning on doing that. I didn't grow up with a family that grew their own blueberries and food and all of that. I'm learning this fresh, but I did have inspiration from my grandparents. My grandparents grew up in the old coal mining towns up in Pennsylvania, and I grew up with stories from my grandfather from his childhood that were just really lovely stories about growing up in this more free, low-tech lifestyle where he would talk about how they would go and they would play in the mountains and they would go and pick wild blueberries and raspberries in the summer and bring them back to his mother so that she could make little treats like pies and such. And how that was such a fun thing that kids did back then. Of course, eating them along the way, but then bringing some home for their mothers to bake something fun. And while in today's age, my kids are not going to be roaming the mountains and foraging unsupervised, like it's just not going to happen. But I kind of really wanted to bring a bit of that into our backyard safely to the where they can still get the essence of the excitement of going and harvesting these sweet berries, just not in a way that I'm going to get Child Protective Services called on me or worry about them picking and eating the wrong thing. So they don't have to go far. We don't even live close to a mountain. So like that's clearly not going to happen. But I'm trying to create a backyard that contains a little bit of that fun and excitement, to make childhood a little special and have them have those core memories to look back on and tell stories of the way my grandfather has. So while this may take 30 minutes to put together, to me, it's bigger than just getting berries. It teaches our kids about the seasons through experience, the ecosystem with hands-on contact with the soil, the flowers, the pollination, and then the fruiting. And it gives the kids a backyard that can compete with a screen. When I watch my toddlers pluck blueberries off these bushes, I see the little boy that my grandfather once was, before screens and toys that promised hours of entertainment ever existed. A more simple, slow, connected childhood. And to me, that's what childhood is supposed to be. If you like this, you may want to check out our raspberry setup next. I will be filming that soon, so be sure to subscribe. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, I did put that free guide on growing blueberries in containers. It's linked down below, completely free to you. I just wanted to summarize and put all the information there together in a little 2-page cheat sheet. And I'm curious, I have this goal of creating this backyard oasis that our kids love. So I'm curious, what are you guys doing to get your kids outside playing and keep them off screens as long as possible? I'm not a hardliner. They do get a little bit of 90s cartoon TV time, but that's another video as well. All right, see you in the next one.